Good morning, how are we doing? Well, I just wanted to post a further update video following the update video that I posted last month. And that was when I talked about my camcorder breaking down on me. Now, that's the chair creaking on me, by the way. People have been absolutely fantastic. People have been wonderful. I can't even begin to express how overwhelmed I've been with people's support. You've been absolutely fantastic, so thank you to all of you for all your support. Some people actually made a donation towards a new camera, which was lovely of them. Now, I did thank them at the time, and I've responded to them to say thank you so much for your donation. That was really lovely of you, but you really shouldn't have done that. That's why I very quickly posted a quick message on YouTube to say, please, no donations towards a new camera. Thank you for that, if you're thinking of doing so, but please, no donations. Several others actually suggested, or they've actually offered to make a donation, should I say, and I did thank those people too. A few others actually suggested, why don't I try using the GoFundMe website and see if I can raise money towards a new camera that way? And I said, no. To me, the GoFundMe website should be used towards a much more worthwhile cause than raising money towards a new camera. It should be used for things like, charities for those that are in greater need, people that are in ill health, much more worthwhile cause than raising money towards a new camera. So, but as I say, I did thank those people for that suggestion. I mean, let's be honest here. Me having a camcorder is a luxury in life. It's not a necessity. So, as I say, there are much more worthwhile causes out there that people should be making donations towards. But as I say, I do appreciate everybody's support in this. So I'm going to give a special thank you to some people here, and I've got my own reasons for doing so here, just to give these particular people a shout out. So I want to say thank you to Tom Ralston, Martin and Joanne Ball, Ruth and Kevin, Jill and Ian, Boz, and Mike Turner. So thank you to all of you. But I do want to give a very special mention to, and a very big thank you to friend and fellow YouTuber, Anthony Johnson. Hi, Anthony. Now, I've given Anthony Johnson a shout out before, but I will leave a link to his channel in the video description below. Now, Anthony had watched my last update to where I talked about my camera breaking down, and it affected him so much that he actually contacted me to say, I don't want you to stop your filmmaking. I'd be very happy to give you, free of charge, my GoPro camera so that you can carry on with your filmmaking. Wow. And I just was knocked back with, oh, that was just lovely. What a lovely thought, Anthony. So we have sort of been in touch with each other and just, replied to each other. My reply to Anthony was just to say, thank you so much for that. That's a lovely suggestion. I have sorted things out now, but that was wonderful. I mean, he did say that he's using another camera now for filming, and his GoPro was just gathering dust. So that's why he offered just to literally just give me free of charge his GoPro. So how wonderful is that? So I can't even begin to sort of express how thankful I am for that, Anthony. So say thank you again. Okay. Well, before I continue, I just want to give a special thank you to all of you overall, really, for just your general support on my channel. Now, as I speak, I am now short, or just short, of 9,000 subscribers. So that is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much to all of you for subscribing. I do seem to have lost viewers, sadly, which is a shame. Yeah, it's a real pity, that. I guess that happens, though, doesn't it? People stop watching your videos after a while. Although maybe some just still watch but don't leave a comment on your video. I know that does happen. But on the positive side, I've gained more viewers, so that is fantastic. As I say, as of now, which is, I'm speaking in April 2025 as I record this, I'm just short of 9,000 subscribers, so it'd be lovely if I could just reach 9,000. What a goal to reach, eh? Do you know what? It would be fantastic if I could get to 10,000 subscribers. I don't think that's too much to ask. You know what? I've been filmmaking since 1993, and although YouTube didn't start until the mid-2000s, I started my YouTube channel in 2011, and it was a bit of a slow start, And it didn't really pick up until probably about 2015, 2016, because that was when I made all of my historical videos that were made before YouTube. I made them available on YouTube. So at that time, things were really picking up. I was getting more viewers, more people were leaving comments. So for the last 9 years, you know, my channel's picked up tremendously. So thank you for that. So I'm almost at 9,000, but I don't think, considering how long my YouTube channel has been going, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask people to get me to 10,000 subscribers. So please, if you've not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free to do so. And also share my channel so that other people are aware of my channel too. So some people have actually left comments before now on my videos saying you deserve more subscribers, and can't really disagree with them. So yeah, please get me to 10,000. That would be wonderful. So when my Sony camcorder died last October, I was clearly upset about it, and I tried to get Sony to repair it for me. It was less than a year old, it was still in a warranty, but they put it down to damage on my part, so that's why they wouldn't repair it unless I paid for it. So after having lost the battle, I just thought, right, okay, I'm never going to buy anything from Sony again. I did put bad reviews online about them, saying how poor their customer service was. That's not going to make any difference though, is it? I mean, Sony is such a large worldwide company, and you know, a few people that complain like me, it's not going to make them go bankrupt, is it? So, you know, they're on like a no-lose scenario, really. Anyway, but it made me sort of like think about things and put things into perspective when this happened. The last thing I wanted to do was to jump in straight away and buy a new camera. So I just sort of sat back and thought about stuff. It's a real shame when I think about it, because I've always had Sony cameras. My very first Sony camcorder I bought in 1988. I mean, it was probably not much bigger than this really, but it had a viewfinder in it, and it would have been bigger and a bit heavier. But over time, although technology has advanced, cameras and tripods, they've not really got that much lighter. So this was the kind of setup I've always had. So like when you're sort of like going out and doing a 5-mile walk or more, this isn't the easiest thing to be carrying around with you. But of course, when I started doing the Solitary Rambler videos in 1993, this is the kind of setup I had, and I didn't know any better because there was nothing else available really to shoot video. You certainly didn't get mobile phones then like you do now that can shoot video, and a lot of the lighter cameras that you get now which shoot video. So yeah, this was the only thing that was available at the time, so I didn't know better. So I just stuck with it over the years. So yeah, it wasn't really the easiest thing to carry around with me when I'm doing a walk. So like in recent years when I've been doing my vlogging style videos and I'm talking to the camera and doing my walks, this is how I hold the tripod. I hold it in both hands, look at the camera whilst it's filming me, and carry on walking. So it's very cumbersome to be carrying around with you on a 5-mile walk or longer. A few years ago I did try something else. I tried, because I knew that technology had moved on by then, and I thought, well, there must be something easier to carry around with me than a great heavy tripod. So I bought this Joby Telepod. It's just like a handheld monopod, so it extends like that. It sort of extends out there, so you can make a little tripod there. So I thought, oh, this will be good. I can just take this with me. So I've used this. Sometimes I went out and used this. Sometimes I still use the big tripod. But yeah, I thought, well, this will make life much easier for me because I can just hold it in my hand like that, and it's just more akin to the vlogging style that you get now. But the only problem was, this tripod was not designed for use with a Sony camcorder, because the Sony camcorder is just too heavy for this tripod. So if I'm walking along like this, and I'm talking to myself as the camera's filming me, after a little while, the camera starts to drop like that, because my hand starts to ache as I'm holding it, because it's too heavy. So I was finding that I was having to do very quick shots of me talking before the camera sort of started to make my hand ache and start to drop down. So although I was using it up until last October, it still wasn't the most ideal thing to be taking on 5-mile walks with me. So yeah, it just put everything into perspective. And I thought, well, there's got to be an easy way of doing things now. And now that I know for certain that I'm never going to buy anything from Sony again, I've just got to rethink and look to what I'm going to be doing in the future. So once my business with Sony was over and done with, I moved on and I thought, okay, where do I go from here? Now, I've been thinking about this anyway, but even though up until last October, I've been using camcorders all that time. Camcorders in themselves are a lot rarer nowadays, and they have been for some years now. If you were to go into a camera shop now, you don't see camcorders anymore. If you were to Google online video cameras, more often than not, camcorders don't appear in the search results. Yeah, technology has just moved on where camcorders are not the main camera to use for shooting video anymore. So really now, people can just use a normal camera for taking photographs with. They shoot video now. I think most of those, if not all of them, shoot video. So digital SLR cameras or mirrorless cameras, whatever you want to call them. Just normal cameras that you go out to take a photograph with. Most of those, if not all, will shoot video now. So I thought, well, that's the way to go, I think, really. So that's the way technology has gone towards. So I did my research online and I thought, okay, what is the best sort of camera now that I can buy for shooting video? And there were a few absolute winners, really. And I thought, yeah, it's going to be one of those. And one of them was the Sony ZV-1 or the Sony ZV-10. It looks a great camera. I had my eye on that camera even before my camcorder packed up last year. So that was a serious contender that I was going to buy once I moved on for the camcorders. Unfortunately, it's made by Sony, so I won't be buying it. It's a shame because it does look a good camera. I know a lot of YouTubers use it. Again, it's small, it's light, you can put it in your pocket. And I just thought, well, if I am going out doing a 5-mile walk or longer, it just seems to be a no-brainer. But unfortunately, because it's made by Sony, I won't be buying it. There were other reasons too. There were a couple of other things about it that I wasn't sure of, which made me a bit hesitant. So I crossed it off the list anyway, despite the fact that it was a Sony product. So of course, the other contender that came up in the search results as one of the top cameras was the GoPro. And I thought, yeah, I think I'm going to be buying a GoPro. I know a lot of YouTubers use the GoPros. They are action cameras. So again, you can shoot videos. They are robust. So if you drop them, technically they won't break. You can use them underwater. And I thought that's a great camera to be taken out with me on my walk. So it's light. It would be great to use with this tripod here because it's, you know, I can just pop it on there and just put it in my hand like that, like a lot of YouTubers use now. It would just be so much easier to be taken out with you than the old camcorders were with the tripods. So yeah, it was the GoPro. However, it wasn't the GoPro that it ultimately ended up going for. There was one clear winner. When I was doing my research, so many people said that this particular camera was the one to go for, whether it was for just people that were vlogging or for people that were going out filming like I do on my walks. There was just one clear winner, and I just thought, yeah, after doing my research, this was an absolute no-brainer, really. So allow me to introduce you to the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. So I am absolutely chuffed to be the proud owner of a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. It's a fantastic little camera. So yeah, it's, as it says on the tin, it's a pocket camera. You can put that in your pocket, and even with a Joby tripod, you know, it's easy to carry. I can put the tripod on there as well, attach the tripod to it, and it's just so much easier to carry around with you when you're on a 5-mile walk than carrying this. I mean, what a difference, eh? So it's a no-brainer, isn't it? So yeah, so this camera is great. I mean, as I say, I'm still getting to know it, so I'm not going to try and give a review about it. There are plenty of reviews on YouTube, so if you watch some of those videos, you'll know that the people that talk about these cameras, they can't speak highly enough of them because they are a great little camera. So I went for the Creator Combo Edition. So that means that you don't just get the camera, you get a few accessories as well. You get a little case, put it in the case. You get a battery handle. So what that means is, there is an inbuilt battery in this camera, and I think it gives you a couple of hours filming. But if you plug the battery handle into it, it gives it extra power. So I found, so you can charge the handle and the camera. So when they're fully charged, I found that when I went out last month, because I did a little bit of filming last month with this, I went out for a day, and in a day's filming, the battery power lasted, so it didn't drain completely before I needed to change or recharge the battery, so it's brilliant. So yeah, I know that I can go out with this, and I can go out for a day, and I'll get a full day's filming with the fully charged battery handle and camera. So I did buy an extra handle as well, just in case anyway. That's just me being super safe. But yeah, so far I found that I can just go out with this for a day, fully charged, and it gives me a day's filming, no problem at all. So yeah, but you also get in the combo edition, little tripod as well, which goes on the bottom there. It's only a little tripod which extends out like that. That's pretty good. But yeah, so I've used it like that. I will be using, as I say, the Joby telepod with it as well. So as I say, when you're carrying this out with you, carrying that as opposed to the camera and tripod, much easier. So yeah, I'm looking forward to using this a lot more. I know I'm going to have some good adventures with this. So yeah, that's the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. One thing that sold it to me, I will just mention this. It keeps the horizon level. That's one of the things that I found with my cameras of before now, is when you're looking through the screen, you can't always clearly see what you're taking a picture of. And it's still the same with this, to be fair. But when you are taking a picture of something, because of the gimbal inside it, the gimbal, it stays level. So when you're taking a shot of anything, whether it's a scenic shot or doing a pan like that, it always keeps the horizon level, and that to me was a big selling point. So that is fantastic. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to getting out there more to use this camera. It's going to be great. So now that I'm all sorted with a new camera, what are my plans for the future? Well, as I've said, I've already gone out filming in March. I did 4 days worth of filming, so I've already started filming for 2025, but I'll come back to that a bit later. So let's just look back at 2024. So last year, again, it was another successful year of filmmaking for me. I went back to my favourite area, the Wye Valley and Forest of Dean, made a load more films there. So I was very happy with what I did, despite the fact that my camcorder died on me in October. By that time, I'd more or less done nearly all the films I wanted to make anyway, so that was fine. The only sort of downside really to last year was there wasn't much variety. All my films, apart from the odd few, were all in the Wye Valley and Forest of Dean. So this year, I want to try and vary it up a little bit more if I can. So one thing with last year also was the fact that I did a lot of travelling. You know, I travelled down to the Wye Valley and Forest of Dean several times throughout last year. So it was quite a costly year, apart from the fact that I was paying for accommodation. I mean, that's no complaint. It's not a complaint at all. I really enjoyed what I did, and I'm glad I did it. And I plan to do all that, so no regrets whatsoever. So I thought this year maybe I can try and cut back on the cost a little bit and stay more local. Obviously, I live in a fantastic area. I live in the Peak District. I can go out and make films in the Peak District whenever I like. So my initial thoughts for this year were just to make more films in the Peak District. However, I've changed my mind again. I mean, the Peak District is not going to go anywhere. Because I live in the area, I could go out and make a film anytime I like. Whereas if I travel further, it's not so easy to just go out and make films in those places of my own choosing, really. So that's why it takes more planning, as it did last year. But I've already got 80 films under my belt in the Peak District anyway. If you look on my YouTube channel, if you look at my Peak District playlist, there are 80 films that I've done. So it's not going to go anywhere, and there are other places that I want to film. So I think this year, what I'm going to do, well, I am going to do this year, because I've already started, I'm going to make films in places that are fairly local to where Mum lives. Now, another good thing about last year was when I did go down to the Wye Valley and Forest of Dean, what I tended to do for the most part was each time I went down was after I finished work, I travelled down to Mum's and stayed with her for a few nights. And then after that, I went over to the Wye Valley and Forest of Dean from hers, stayed there for several days, and then went back to Mum's afterwards. So that's what I want to do again this year, really. The only difference this year is I'm not going to go away and stay anywhere. I'm going to save money on accommodation, and I'm just going to do places that are fairly local to where Mum lives. Now, Mum lives in North Somerset, so without giving anything away, I'm going to go to places that are fairly local to her, but still try and make more of a variety of where I'm going. Now, also, again, without sort of revealing anything, I want to really carry on telling the story that I started last year. So when I did go to the White Valley Forest last year, of course, that's an area where I spent the earliest years of my life. But also it included me making a film in Gloucester, which is where I was born. I also made a film in Alvington, which was my first home. And I also made another film in Chepstow, which after I lived in Alvington was where I spent most of my childhood years. So this year, I want to carry on the next chapter. So where did I live after Chepstow? And that's what I'm going to do this year. For those of you that are familiar with my channel and have been following me for a long time, there's a bit of a clue there. But without giving anything else away, I want to sort of like make films in the places where I lived after I lived in Chepstow and also continue telling the story. But there will be more of a variety of places to go to this year. And also there will be some new places I've not been to before, new places that I've not made films in. So yeah, again, they're all places that I can drive to from Mum's in a day without travelling too far. Last month when I went out in March, I think the furthest place I went to was half hour from where Mum lives in the car, so not too bad. And I think the furthest place this year that I plan to go to is probably an hour's drive from Mum, so not too bad at all. So I won't need to go and book accommodation anywhere this year. It does depend on how the filming goes this year. So if I get done what I want to do, depending on the weather, of course, and also when I can get down to Mum's this year, I may stay somewhere, book accommodation somewhere, I don't know yet, and go a bit further away. That's to be decided. But just initially, the plans are to go to places that I can drive to in a day from Mum without actually booking accommodation anywhere. So, but yeah, I think this year it's going to be more variety. I'm going to continue the story from last year, and I think it's still going to be an exciting year. So I'm looking forward to getting out there. But yeah, I've already sort of filmed some of the stuff for this year already last month. They've all been edited now, so I'll be able to present the first of those films probably the first Friday in June, so look out for that. So yeah, it's going to be a good year. 2025, here we come.